Being 50 pounds overweight was something that I never thought would have happened to me, but it did. And it took me a really long time to even realize how much weight I was gaining. And unfortunately, it took me much longer to actually lose all of this weight. Thankfully, I was able to do it naturally, but there were some mistakes that I made at the beginning of my weight loss journey that I want you to avoid. If it is you need to lose maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 pounds like me, or maybe even more, I want you to listen carefully and try your best to avoid these mistakes so you can have a really successful weight loss journey. Now, the first mistake that I made was trying a lot of restrictive diets. Now, I started putting on all of this weight in 2020, and we have all been through 2020. We know what that was like, and unfortunately I started doing, well, I should say I started emotionally eating because of everything that was happening in 2020. It was so unprecedented, things were unpredictable, you didn't know what to expect. And even though I have never been overweight before, there were things that started to happen where even the Holy Spirit had to tell me, listen, you are dealing with a spirit of gluttony. And that was something that I didn't even realize what was happening to me. I actually did an entire video talking about how I overcame gluttony and how the Holy Spirit really helped me to subdue my unhealthy cravings and actually turn to Him for my comfort, because I turned to food for my comfort during that 2020 period, and I will even say maybe 2020, 2021. But I know some people, they might be like, no, I don't suffer from gluttony, I don't have that spirit, that gluttony spirit. But at the end of the day, or I should say the spirit of gluttony, I think that's how you say it anyway. But at the end of the day, that was something that I know was a key factor as to why I was emotionally eating. For some people, they may not even have the language, they may not realize that it's gluttony that is causing them to overeat, and some of it could be rooted in from having trauma when they were a child or when they were younger, or even having trauma as an adult. There are so many things that can happen to you unexpectedly, or something that happens and it affects you so much mentally that you turn to food for your peace, you turn to food as your comfort. When, well, I'm a Christian, so especially as Christians, we're supposed to be turning to God, turning to Jesus, allowing the Holy Spirit to help us develop the fruit of the Spirit. And people will talk about love and peace and joy, but we do not talk about self-control. We do not talk about how we are to manage what we eat, what we consume, what we put into our bodies. Let me not go off on a tangent. Like I said, I will put a video about, I'll put it in the description box, as to how the Holy Spirit helped me to overcome gluttony. But when I finally realized how much weight I was putting on, I wanted to lose it so quickly. And listen, if you know it took you months or even years to put on all of that extra weight, don't expect to lose it in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Now, with all of the restrictive diets and crash diets and fad diets, you may see results initially, but the reality is a lot of that may just be a lot of water weight you lose in the first week. Second week, you might lose maybe 5-10 pounds, and then you get excited, but you will be stuck in that cycle of overeating, over consuming, and restricting. Do you know how many times I would find myself eating a lot of junk food, a lot of ultra processed food, and then I'll be like, you know what, next week Monday I'm gonna start afresh. And then sometimes I'll be like, okay, well, I eat a lot this weekend, I'm gonna fast on Monday and Tuesday, or maybe fast for 3 days. And I am totally against that. Now, again, I'm not talking about like biblical fasting, because even when it came to me overcoming gluttony, one of the things the Holy Spirit had to show me is that I actually needed to go through a period of prayer and fast to help to break that off of me, because that was really a stronghold that I needed to break off of me. But we're not talking about biblical fasting. We're talking about where people end up starving themselves and being so restrictive, and that does not work. Because you know what happened in my case, and I'm sure if you have been through this, it happened to you. You end up gaining all of the weight, and a lot of times you gain even a lot more than where you initially started. So what I want you to do is just try your best. Say, for example, you know you're accustomed eating a lot of junk food, say maybe 3-4 times a week. Maybe say, okay, for this week, instead of going out out to eat or ordering food for maybe 4 times for the week, reduce it to 2 to 3 times, and maybe the following week you do it maybe once, and you do it gradually. When it is you try your best to change your habits slowly and consistently, you will see the results, because you do not want to feel as though your body is stressed out. You will overconsume after restricting yourself for that long, and it's just developing very unhealthy habits. And when it is you're on this weight loss journey, the main thing is, yes, being consistent, being disciplined, but it's about developing healthy habits to have a healthy lifestyle. Now, what I also like to do are food swaps. I do my what I eat in a day videos to just show you all some of the things that I eat to help to either lose weight, maintain weight, gain muscle, everything that I usually do. So I do videos on that as well. But I know there are times where, okay, if it is that I'm not buying like fast foods like fried chicken and fries, I would buy chicken, season it really well, cut up some sweet potatoes, and I would put it in the air fryer, so you're not getting that deep fried oily foods, and it tastes really good. Try your best to recreate some of the foods that you like. If you like Chinese food, you can buy some of the same ingredients and cook the Chinese food at home. You can buy certain things where you can make maybe pizza, but it's healthier based on the ingredients that you're putting in it, even the dough that you use to make the pizza. So there are different swaps that you can use. Even when it comes to snacks, you may like potato chips, you may like different biscuits, whatever it is, different sweets. Even when it comes to certain drinks, you like a lot of sugary drinks and juices and fizzy drinks, don't feel as though you need to cut out everything initially. What you can do is, if it is that you know you're not drinking a lot of water, say, all right, maybe for breakfast I would have my juice, maybe for lunchtime when it's time eating I will drink water instead, and then for dinner you can maybe have your juice. But maybe the following week you have water with your breakfast and maybe your lunch, and then for dinner you have your juices. But even when it comes to juices, you have a lot of drinks now that are either low calorie, zero sugar, and some of them are actually healthier, because some of them, when you look at the ingredients, it's not the best. They may say zero sugar, or have maybe some health halos on certain snacks and juices or drinks, but when you really look at the ingredients, it's not the healthiest. But the point is, don't feel as though you need to be so restrictive, because you will be stuck in that cycle of over consuming and restricting, and you will not see the results that you want to see. Now, one of the other things that I had to change that was similar to moving away from being restrictive in terms of what I eat, what I consume, what I drink, I had to stop the all or nothing mindset, because I would tend to go from 0 to 100. So yes, I wanted to lose weight, and initially I wanted it done so quickly. So I would say, all right, I usually don't exercise but I started off hot and sweaty, where okay, I want to start doing maybe like an hour exercise Monday to Saturday, maybe take a Sunday off, sometimes literally exercising 7 days a week, and you're sweating, you're exhausted, you're tired. I was doing just way too much at the beginning of my journey. Now, I will talk about later how important that exercise is, because I think everyone knows that exercise is very important. But what I want you to do is a slow and steady approach of building healthy habits and healthy routines and building a system around that, so you can stick with it. Because no, I never stuck with trying to exercise an hour every single day for 6 days a week. No, I'm not saying that is something that you can't do. Some people, over time they do develop a particular routine and a particular system where exercising 6 days a week is nothing for them. But if you know you live a very sedentary lifestyle, you don't do anything, you hardly even walk in, which I'm going to talk about next, don't expect to go from 0 to 100. All right, take it slow, one step at a time. And let's talk about walking. Walking was one of the key things that helped me out in my weight loss journey. I know a lot of people talk about walking 10,000 steps, and I say in all of my videos, or almost all of my videos, no, you do not need to walk 10,000 steps a day. If you walk close to about 8,500 steps, you get some of the same health benefits if you walk 10,000 steps. However, I tend to walk about 10,000 steps a day because it has become something that has been just part of my routine, but I slowly build over time. When I started my weight loss journey, even though at that point in time I wasn't tracking, I know I maybe was walking maybe 3,000 steps a day, which is, even just to think about it, is like, wow, I was so sedentary. I would hardly even move throughout the day. Obviously, I'm over consuming, I'm eating a lot of food, hardly moving. That's why I gained so much weight. But what I would say, if it is that you know you hardly walk, you don't move around a lot, just start very slow. When it comes to your daily movement and getting into exercise, walking is such a low barrier to entry. It's low impact on your bone, low impact on your joints. A lot of people, most people can do it. If you have obviously issues with your mobility, you would not be able to. But the point is, start off slow. Maybe do about 5-10 minutes of walking in the morning, another 5-10 minutes around lunchtime, another 5-10 minutes in the evening, so you get possibly 20 to 30 minutes of exercise. You know, for the entire year, your step count has been so low, you haven't even been tracking it, but you know you're not moving, you know you're sedentary, you know you're not doing enough daily movement. Just start off with a couple of minutes and then you increase over time. Now, what I would say when it comes to walking, because I know persons talk about walking being like zone 2 cardio, and I do mention that in my videos, but what I tend to do is not a very slow pace, it's a very brisk walk where it is your heart rate is going up, you're using your arms, your legs, you're engaging those muscles in your arms, your legs, your core, so you're getting that cardiovascular benefit, you're getting the heart health benefits. So I'm not saying you can't start off with walking at a leisurely pace, but you want to make sure that you're actually increasing your heart rate and getting some of the other benefits of walking, which is the cardiovascular aspect of it. And of course, that will help you to also get to your possibly 10,000 steps every day a lot quicker. But walking is what, listen, if you are not walking at least 8,000 steps a day, I want you to aim at getting at that. Of course, slow and steady approach, but be consistent with it. What I would say is, where one of the key factors when it comes to your health and your longevity is making sure that you're doing strength training and resistance training. I wish I started lifting a lot heavier at the beginning of my journey. Admittedly, even now, I don't even lift as much as I should. Fun fact, I actually lost all of my weight from doing home workouts. I have weights at home, I have dumbbells at home, so I have been using that for my entire weight loss journey. But nutrition is the key when it comes to your health and your fitness. Maybe 80, possibly 90% of the results that you're gonna see is based on what you are consuming. What are you eating? What are you drinking is the key. Of course, I would always promote doing your strength training and resistance training. Every single year that passes, you are losing more muscle, your bone density is decreasing. But when it is you are doing strength training and resistance training, it helps to balance out certain hormones. I know people talk about insulin resistance, PCOS, but I don't think persons are aware or cognizant of the fact that it's like a cycle. If it is that you are not moving your body, you're not walking, you're not drinking enough water, you're eating all of this junk food, those negatively affect your hormones, your insulin sensitivity, and then it makes it a lot harder for you to actually lose weight. So you really have to think about, what are your daily habits? What are you doing to your body? Are you actually being a good steward of your body? Are you taking care of yourself? Because your body will basically give you back what you're putting into it. You're feeling tired, you're feeling exhausted. If it is that you are not fueling your body with the right amount of foods, or even the right foods, you will be negatively affected. Your cells will not function properly, your body will not function properly. So no, I'm not coming down on persons who do have certain medical conditions, but when it comes to strength training and resistance training, there's a lot of longevity that comes with it when it is you building your muscle. When it is you increase your muscle and your metabolism increases, you're noticing that your you're able to properly balance out certain hormones, insulin, etc., and that in turn is going to help you on your weight loss journey. Now, I know I mentioned nutrition earlier, and of course I cannot talk about having a successful weight loss journey without letting you know that you need to prioritize high protein meals, high fiber meals, and healthy fats. When I started my weight loss journey, I was like, okay, yeah, well, I'll cut this out, I'll cut that out. But I actually did not realize how much protein, fats, and carbs I should be eating. And here's the thing, I know some persons, they don't like to count calories. I would suggest that at least initially in your journey, even if you just do it for a couple of weeks, try to track it. It's best to measure the things that you want to manage so that you can track your progress over time. I see that in a lot of my videos, and that's why I would always encourage whatever app you use, whatever, you go online and you check to see how much calories you're supposed to be eating, how much protein, how much fiber, how much healthy fats you should be consuming for your body. Make sure that you have a good idea, measure it for a little while, and then after, if you don't want to track, then fine, but at least you will be able to have a proper gauge as to what you should be consuming. And then of course your scale. Now I have a full body composition scale, so I can see my fat percentage, my muscle percentage, make sure that I'm hydrated, so I'll see my water percentage, my bone mass, BMI, etc. And even if it is that you don't have all of those readings and you just have a scale to show your weight, try your best to like track it consistently for a while. Some people, they have I guess a negative, and I want to use the word association, but it's not association. I want to say they have a negative relationship. They feel as though they are negatively affected when it is they see those numbers on the scale, but those are just numbers. It just helps to give you an idea as to what is happening. If you are not checking the scale, and I would see for myself, I wasn't checking any scale. No, I did see how my clothes were fitting, and I noticed, okay, my clothes getting a little tighter. But if I had checked the numbers on my scale a lot earlier in my journey, I would have really noticed that, because there's something called weight blindness. I don't know if you all ever experienced it, but yes, I know I was getting a little bigger, but I had no clue as to what I was really looking like. And I feel as though if I really checked the numbers on the scale, I would have been able to see, okay, yeah, okay, 10 pounds, 20 pounds. I don't think I would have ever reached as high as 50 pounds if I was checking the numbers on my scale. But besides that, what I really want you to do is try your best just to track what it is you're eating, what it is you're consuming. Do it for a period of time. Even if you want to maybe go down the road of doing portion control, do that. Focus on high protein meals. Try your best to eat between 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of your ideal body weight. So if your ideal body weight is say 130 pounds, then you multiply that by 0.8 to 1. Now the more strength training that you're doing and the heavier weights that you're lifting, which by the way, make sure that you are doing progressive overload. If you know at home you have a 5-pound weight or a 10-pound weight and you have been using that for the last 6 months without doing increase in your reps, increase in your sets, you're more than likely not getting any muscle. Okay, you might be maintaining, but you need to be gaining muscle as time goes by. Lift heavier weights, do more reps, do more sets, because you are losing muscle, you're losing your bone density every single year. So don't stick. Listen, I am speaking to myself right now. I know that I have to find a gym. I haven't found one that is in the area that I want, close to where I am, and in terms of working out my schedule, so I haven't gone to the gym. But I know I need to, because I am at a point where I need to start using machines and actually getting heavier weights to actually make sure that I am doing a progressive overload, that I get body recomposition, because you know I want to make sure that I'm losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time, so that I can look a lot better. You ever see where sometimes people lose like a lot of weight and they actually look kind of sick? They don't look good. A lot of times they're not prioritizing obviously strength training and resistance training, and then a lot of times they're not even eating the right amount, or I should say the right amount of protein or unhealthy fats and fiber. So they just look like a smaller person, sometimes they look saggy. It's just not a good look. Now, I'm not talking about the fact that if it is that you have to lose a lot of weight, unfortunately you may end up getting a lot of loose skin. I'm not talking about that, because I know some persons, they're on your weight loss journey, and then also genetics have a big part to play in what your body does and how you look when it is you lose weight. But nutrition is also plays a key role as well. If you're not new here, you'll know I like to follow the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the time I eat whole, unprocessed or minimally processed foods, and 20% of times I have my treat meals. Recently I was looking at a YouTube video where, you know, somebody was starting their weight loss journey, and because they knew it was like their last week before they officially start, they just basically overindulge. And trust me, I have been there. I have been there many times, but I really like to tell people to adopt a little more of a balance, because like I mentioned in one of the previous points, when it is you are so restrictive, after a while you are going to overindulge, and it throws you off track for a very long time until you get back on track. So my advice really is to just incorporate little treats here and there, so you don't feel as though you're being very restrictive. And another mistake that I made in my weight loss journey was not realizing how important sleep was, like good quality sleep. Try your best to get around 7 to 9 hours of good sleep. I truly did not realize how much the stress on your body it causes and the effects of it. When it is you don't get enough sleep, you wake up in the morning, you're tired, you feel exhausted, you're groggy, and this is the part that a lot of people don't realize. You're low in energy, and your body is actually just looking for that energy, and what it does, it affects your hormones a lot. Your leptin, which is your satiety hormone, goes all the way down. Your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, increases. So now you're craving a lot of food, because the food that you get from energy, your body is trying to compensate for the fact that I don't have the energy that I'm supposed to have because I didn't sleep well. So you're eating and you're craving so much more, and you tend to crave more of the sugary foods, ultra processed foods that are high in calories, so it's calorie dense, and a lot of these foods are also very low in fiber. So like I mentioned, how important protein it is. It helps to curb your cravings. It helps to keep you fuller for longer, just as well as fiber. But these highly processed foods are definitely lower in protein, definitely lower in fiber and your healthy fats. So it affects the way you function throughout the day. So try your best to sleep well. Make sure that when it is you are sleeping. Now I know persons have all these different rings and all these different metrics, and some people are actually really taking it too far. Like, they are taking it too far when it is they are looking so much at their metrics, but they're not even just, I guess, listening to their body. I don't monitor my sleep. Maybe it's something that I would do in the future, but sometimes you have a good idea if you got a good rest. You can feel, you know, energized. When it is you are sleeping, your body is healing, your body is recovering, your cells are regenerated, your muscles are all of your cells are repairing. So when it is you get good quality sleep and you wake up in the morning, you feel good, right? You don't necessarily need like a ring or certain metrics on your phone to tell you had a good night's sleep. No, unless something is maybe really off, those are things that can help you. And yes, I did mention measure the things you want to manage so that you can track your progress over time. But my point is, there are some persons who take some of these metrics and health trends so far that they don't really try to, I guess, see how their body feels, their mood, their energy, their cravings. Those are things that you can also track as well. You don't have to 100% rely on all of these gadgets to know that you're on the right track with your healthy habits. Sometimes you can tell, I didn't have a good sleep last night and not feeling too good, and then, you know, over time your body will be able to properly regulate once it is you get those hours of sleep. But anyway guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm actually thinking now there are other points and other mistakes that I know I made and I didn't mention it in this video. Maybe I'll do a part 2, but let me know if you're on your weight loss journey. Let me know if it is that you feel free to say how much weight you're planning on losing, what are your goals. Let me know in the comments. But as always, I want to see you succeed. I want you to do well, and I want you to become the best and healthiest version of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.